Welcome to our professional training event. I see some familiar faces, so who's been here before? Welcome, we appreciate you coming back. And who's here for the first time? Oh, thanks, you got a nice combination of people. So I thank you guys for coming. We're going to have an incredible day today.
But enzyme therapy is extremely important. I love to use enzyme therapy in between meals systemically for parasite cleanses. So when the little exoskeletons are dying off and they're causing havoc in the GI and people are getting all kinds of headaches, I throw in some enzymes in between meals and boom. Eats all those little skeletons right up. I don't tell them that, then they get creeped out. I'm like, you'll be all right. All right, so we're going to go quickly through foundations and then we'll go to lunch, okay? Is everybody okay? When we come back, we're going into the actual genome mutations. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about ketogenic diet because people ask me about this all the time. I am not a fan of any one diet. I like all diets for all people that when it's suitable to your makeup, genetics, lifestyle, then they work. If I give you a diet that's not going to work or you don't need, it doesn't work. That's why there's 10,000 diet books out on the market and not just one, okay? So, whole food diet, like I said, tree, ground, run, swim, fly, falls from a tree, grows in the ground, runs in the field, flies in the sky, swims in the ocean, non-genetically modified, organic, you can eat it. However you want. I would say for her back there, go a little bit more vegan, but make sure that you're getting it, making sure that you're converting your proteins, get your SAMe, give that a try. If somebody else came in with a different issue on that MTHFR scale, I would give them a different diet. But overall, ketogenic is where I normally go. And this is high fat, not high protein. People get that confused with low carb. It's not low carb, and ketogenic was first discovered for epilepsy because it helped the brain. It helped with neurotransmitters because it increased methylation. Remember, neurotransmitters are made from SAMe, which is the end product of methylation. So when they changed to ketogenic, they increased methylation, which increased SAMe, and these people that were having seizures and epileptic seizures weren't having them anymore. Okay? So the whole point behind ketogenic is to get into a state called ketosis, where you're making these ketone bodies which fuel mitochondrial function. So that's what ketogenic does. So should you do it forever? No. You should do it until your methylation is where it should be. With proper supplementation and being able to adjust that, you should be able to go back to a whole food diet. Not a processed diet, but a whole food diet. Okay? People should get in and out of ketosis. You don't want to be in ketosis all the time because you're going to affect glycolysis. Remember, you need sugar at some points to keep stimulating glycolysis. And so basically what happens is people get on ketogenic all the time, it works for a while, and then guess what happens? It doesn't work. So then I tell them, go home and carb load, or they come in and they're confused. Go ahead.
This might be a really too general of a question, but do you have a time frame where you like to cycle it, or is something where it's like a 12-week
Yep.
or however long?
Initially, I start people at 2 weeks because it's such a major thing to them, right? They're like, oh my God, and then they get the keto flu and they feel bad. So then I let them come off. Then the next step, I say, let's try 4 weeks, right? Let's try 6 weeks. And then usually I'm not a big fan of over 6 weeks. It seems too long to me. I know there's people that do it months, and that's good, but you're coming in and out of it. And when I say in and out of it, I don't mean like weeks. 3 days, come out of it. Okay, go back on, right? So basically all you're trying to do is create ketone bodies. You can create those in a day if you're in ketosis.
And what ratio are you comfortable with on the from macronutrients, like 80?
60% at least on fat, okay? I start seeing people, especially with MTHFR, they're taking in too much protein,
Right.
and they're not converting it.
Well, that's what we found is like just people's success from a weight loss standpoint, from
Mhm.
an inflammation standpoint, all of that kind of stuff when the protein, of course, is too high. And that's where most
Exactly.
people end up going wrong.
Exactly.
But, I mean, we keep it even in our registered dietitian office, we keep it even higher than 60.
Right.
Because
Yeah, it's minimum of 60. But you're right, because people will come in and be like, well, I had chicken for breast and steak, and I'm like, where's your fat? I know there's fat in there, but it's too much protein. So their protein ratio is coming up, and they need to stay at 60 minimum % fat or higher. And like you said, some people it's like 80, right?
Around
So
70 to 75, and then maybe around 15 protein, and then really the carbs are just minimal.
They're added,
vegetable and
yep.
some avocado, whatever it may be.
So if you look at this as a healing diet rather than like a way of living, and you say to somebody, you're going to do 75% fat, and you're going to stay at that for X amount of weeks because we're healing, that's like saying you broke your arm and I'm going to put a cast on you for 6 weeks. That's what you're saying. You're not saying you're going to wear that cast forever, right? You're not saying you're just never going to walk again, but it's a healing diet, and now it's become a trend. Now everybody's on ketosis. It's like, hey, ketogenic, yay. It's great, but they're doing it wrong because then it becomes too hard to live at the healing phase. Go ahead.
So for fat metabolism, like
Mhm.
when people have reactions like where they're not digesting fat, is that because they haven't done like the work on the GI tract first?
Yeah, I would say it's a lipase deficiency. It's an enzymatic problem. I would also ask if they have a gallbladder, right?
The question is, what do you do with someone without a gallbladder?
Yeah, so usually with people without a gallbladder, I have them on the Betazyme. Okay, you need to enhance that system. They're no longer making the 10 times alkaline bile that's coming out of the gallbladder, right? They're not alkalining the food. They don't have as much fat digestion, but your body's smart. It will adapt, but you can use products like Betazyme at the end. Because remember, hydrochloric acid doesn't come out until an hour after you eat. So you eat, and it's an hour later that your body starts releasing hydrochloric acid, which is just basically mechanical digestion. And all hydrochloric acid, it goes over and knocks on the door of the pancreas and says, release enzymes. And if it's not acidic enough, pancreas doesn't open the door. He says, nope, I don't know you. You're not acid, 5.2, sorry. I don't let strangers in. So it just shuts the door. So people that are on acid reducers, PPI, right? They're not getting any enzymatic action. So what happens down the road? They have methylation issues. So we can create disease or we can prevent it every time we open our mouth. It depends on what we put in it. Okay? All right. So the last part of this is it's all about balance, right? And why are we using this for extendeds or simply as a mitochondrial builder? So I tell them this is a mitochondrial builder. We're not going to be on this forever, but we have to go in and out of it so that we create better methylation. It's a healing process. I take the word diet out of this. We're going to do a healing modality. Just like you would take supplements for a month, we're going to do this for a month. They consider this a supplement, except you get to eat. Okay? Any questions on that? Go ahead.
Do you find calorically, I mean, obviously calories are going to be higher naturally because, of course,
Right.
the amount of fats and stuff like that. But do you find calorically it really, there's a minimum? I mean, everybody's different, but an average female, average male, do you find calorically there's some issues or some baseline that you feel you need to be at?
Well, that's it depends on the goal.
Of course.
Yeah. So if someone comes in and says, I want to lose weight and I want ketogenic, you know, I was a personal trainer for 15 years, and I'm like, yeah, I don't do diets. Go away. Go see her. But if they say I have a methylation issue, I'm not worried about calories. I'm worried about process. Exactly. So I don't really look at calories because my clients aren't coming in like, I feel fabulous. My butt's still big, you know. So, but we're not working dually. But if you're talking about,
Ketosis standpoint, is there
Right.
something that has, like, is there a minimum that you feel has to almost trigger healing, essentially?
yeah, I mean, I think with any diet that can be said because we get into these 1,500 calorie diets, right? And we think that by cutting calories and nutrients that our body uses to start methylation that fuels that system that makes ATP, if we cut the gasoline amount that we put in here, we're somehow doing our body a favor, right? And really, we're just decreasing our healing potential.
No, I'm
So,
a firm believer in
no,
more that you
I'm
can
getting
try.
to my point of agreeing with you. So, do I say there's a caloric recommendation? I can definitely tell, like you probably can, when they come in that they're not eating enough, right? Because what happens when they get on ketogenic? They feel great, but they start to lose weight. And then what happens to our psyche because we're indoctrinated, right? Oh, I'm losing weight. What if I cut down on this? What if I don't eat breakfast? What if I don't eat this, right? What if I intermittent fast 12 times a week? Yeah, and you're like, too much, too much. So there's too much of a good thing. Yeah, so I mean, that's where you, as practitioners, you're going to look at that person, and if they come in one week and they're feeling great, and the next week they come in and they're like, I'm so tired this week, start asking questions. Are you eating enough? Write down your diet for me. What have you had? You know, I had a lady that came in and she's like, you know, I was losing weight and I feel good, and it wasn't for weight loss. She has MTHFR and we were working with ketogenic. She was feeling really good and all of a sudden she wasn't. Well, here she was eating too much protein. I mean, and hardly any fat. Like, she wasn't adding any fat to it. And I'm like, you have to think fat first, not low carb, fat. So it's just about changing that mindset. Those are good questions, though. So during the periods of low food intake, like fasting, carbohydrate restrictive diet, starvation, prolonged intense exercise, alcoholism, inadequately treated type 1. So these are the things with the ketogenic diet. Like she was saying, low periods of low food intake can offset what you're trying to do. Okay? So ketone bodies are readily picked up by the extrahepatic tissues and converted to acetyl-CoA, which then enters the citric acid cycle and is oxidized for energy. So when I talk about ketogenic, I remind people this is about autophagy. Autophagy is cellular death and repair from recycling the parts. And there's 3 ways that you can kill cells in your body and identify bad cells: ketogenic diet, exercise, and intermittent fasting. That's why all 3 things, ketogenic diet, exercise, and intermittent fasting, increase glutathione in your body and actually help you detoxify and identify cells for death, which is what you want. Okay? Hi. Pew. Okay.
How much intermittent fasting are you talking about?
Again, client specific. I like to do 2 to 3 days a week for myself. Anywhere from 16 hours, it depends. But with clients that are just starting out, some people are scared, especially people that have sugar issues. They don't want to fast. Their doctors have, no, I can't fast, I gotta eat. I mean, that's like pounded in their head. So you just have to kind of work with them and see what they're willing to do, and then see what their level of improvement, because like she was saying, you wouldn't exercise 24 hours a day. You wouldn't fast 5 days a week. You wouldn't, but you wouldn't calorie cut all those times. And I think we get into that mindset that go big or go home, right? And it's not always the best way. Okay, so let's run through these quick. Hydration. We know that water is going to be important for your clients, obviously, vital nutrient, but we can also talk about the energy potential with water. Tap water is a no-no for your clients that have any type of methylation or MTHFR issues that has too much stuff in it. Chlorine, bromine, fluoride, you name it. You don't want any more toxicity. I really like RO water for the clients that have this issue, so that I know it's just H2O. There's nothing else in there. Okay. Exercise prescription. We know that exercise increases glutathione. Okay, we know that. And we want that. However, if they have very low methylation and they're tired, you're not going to have them go out and start like P90X. Okay, we got to build up to it. I usually tell them, let's start some walking. If they have mobility issues due to the ammonia and they have really bad joint pain and they can't exercise, get the lymphatic moving. Okay, get dry skin brushing going. Do you guys know what dry skin brushing is? Okay, so that's where your T and B cells are, is in your lymphatic system. You want to stimulate that because it's part of methylation, so you're stimulating the immune system. Okay? But it's a balancing act against detox and recovery. And again, this is another way for your body to identify bad cells, kill them, recycle the good parts, and move on. The issue is when everything looks bad to your body, it doesn't know what to kill. So you start exercising and you get these people that just can't recover. And they feel worse and they feel worse and they feel worse. So you have to adjust your exercise for your clients. Get them at least moving. Once they're into it and they're in shape and their methylation has come back, your best type is interval training, where you're doing a little bit of anaerobic and a little bit of aerobic exercise, along with strength training, okay, because that's going to help with the receptors for insulin and help with glycolysis and that entire process. All right, elimination. These are the bowls: bowels, urinary, lungs, lymph, skin. I wrote this all out in here, okay? But we want to make sure, this is our favorite chart from when I taught at Trinity, right? The Bristol stool chart. We want our poop to have sunglasses. It's very important. The bowels are the liver, the gallbladder, and the colon. Urinary, kidney, and bladder. Lungs, which is lungs and blood. Lymphatic, lymph, and the immune system. And then skin. I always include blood with skin because if it's next to the skin, it's part of it. Our elimination pathways are very dependent upon our ability to detox. So if we have low glutathione, These are going to be, I'm sorry, these are going to be affected. He's back there, he's like dancing. I'm like, what are you doing? So cut that part out. So we want we want these to be open. Again, if you have clients that are constipated, you have clients that have kidney issues, kidney stones, if you have people that have skin issues, if you have people that have edema, swelling, these are all good indicators to start asking more questions because they're not detoxifying. So it could be a methylation issue, okay? Every time I say something, I look around, people are like, that's me, okay. All right, now I want to go forward. Sleep. There is a difference between sleep and circadian rhythm. Your hypothalamus sets the pulse of your body. Your circadian rhythm is not just like you going to bed and getting up. It's the absolute pulse of every cell. Okay? You also release growth hormone during this time. You need growth hormone to recover. Children that don't sleep, that are on the spectrum, this is one of the biggest things to try to get them to do. And it's almost virtually impossible. So just by introducing things like DMG can make a profound difference in spectrum kids because they start sleeping and releasing growth hormone. And that's where all your cellular repair comes from. Okay? But circadian rhythm is very important. One great way that you can help yourself and your clients with MTHFR is meditation. There's studies on meditation that show that in the hypothalamus it improves gray matter and the size of the hypothalamus, which in turn creates a better circadian rhythm for every cell in your body. So meditation is very powerful for clients that have methylation issues. Emotional wellness, sympathetic nervous system. Remember, one of the biggest things that you can do for people that have any type of methylation is decrease stress. If there is a trauma, if they're holding on to anger, there's all kinds of things we can do. We can do EFT tapping, right? We can do meditation. We can do emotion code. We can do Reiki. And I'm sure you guys have 100 different things that you can work with emotion. If you don't do those things yourself and you're working with clients that have methylation issues or genome mutations, connect with somebody who does. Because it makes a substantial difference to help people with emotions when they have methylation pathway issues. Because stress is your biggest methyl burner. It'll burn up all these awesome little methyl bodies that are floating around just by thinking one bad thought. So I am a practitioner that I work on the trilogy of health. That's why I wrote it this way, because it's important that you look at the mind and the body and the spirit. We're not segregated. We can't not go through a day and think, right? Okay, so we're going to end here and we'll go eat lunch, okay? And then we'll come back and we'll talk about all the anomalies. Methyl bodies are created through methylation. They bind with proteins to do cellular repair. They detoxify, proper immune function. They're fueled by B vitamins. There are enzymes that act as catalysts. They're impacted greatly by lifestyle. This is why they say genes only control 2% of what happens to you. 98% is lifestyle. But that's starting to actually switch. Now, can we help people with mutations by changing all of these things? Absolutely. But then we have to get even more specific. So we're going to learn about that after lunch. Nutrition, supplementation, emotional wellness, and recovery. That's your key formula right here. Lifestyle, nutrition, supplementation, emotional wellness, and recovery. Those are the things that you want to work with your clients with methylation issues. When we come back, we're going to talk about the genetic mutations, what they look like, what your conditions that you'll actually be seeing with those, and then some protocols to add into it. Yes?
And I think an up-and-coming thing is this whole field of non-metal and metals, heavy metals,
Yeah.
toxicity and environmental toxicity.
That's why when we were talking about, yeah.
Diseases, the co-infections, and
Yeah.
all these things are becoming
Prominent. So the heavy metals are becoming big because of the lack of glutathione with methylation. They can't get the heavy metals out. The co-infections and things like that is part of the immune system with methylation because we can't kill things anymore. That's why we're seeing an influx of Lyme. It's not because there's more ticks. Because I said to my husband, we live in the sticks in Pennsylvania, and I'm like, I've never seen a tick. However, people that are experiencing anything like Lyme or get bit one time, which may not have been a problem, are now these chronic conditions because of the lack of glutathione, because of the lack of the immune system response, and because of the lack of cellular regeneration, because their methylation is low.
Do you think that's the PANS and PANDAS?
Yep.
Related to the methylation?
So,
And all these things are just so prevalent, people don't realize.
so let me ask, besides the one person that I see falling asleep dramatically, are you guys following me okay? Everyone's like, oh my God, she saw me? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You guys, is this enough? You went deeper? Is this too much? Are we good? We come.
You're tying it all in.
Okay, good. So when we come back, we're going to start genome mutations. We're going to talk about what those look like, protocols, and we're actually going to do a little activity where you see how fast this is going to spread and about how much time we have to get control of it. Okay?